If you're accidentally overworked to death like Arata and then given a chance to reincarnate with the promise of a peaceful life on an unknown island, then be prepared to be shocked. You see, this isn't just any island, it's the deadliest island, where humanity's worst nightmares coexist with each other. Arata stumbles into them and strangely forms new allies. Are you curious to see how he overcomes the might of the strongest beings? Stay tuned, as this story is one that you definitely won't want to miss. Welcoming another day under the sunny sky, Arata is excited to enjoy it. A member of the godly beast tribe, Luna, reports that she has caught a monster that will become their meal. Aluga, who also belongs to the same tribe, has caught a beast on his own, and claims that they'll be sharing a feast. Arata hears a voice from the heavens as a dragon crashes into his body, before reverting to her human self. The ancient dragon Teltu informs Arata that she was able to locate and catch a tribe of rock birds. The archmage Raina is quick to join the fray and wonders if they will even be able to finish the meal, having caught so many monsters. Raina happens to be their chef and tells them to wait while she does her magic. While she is preparing food, Arata looks over at the different species of monsters that he has befriended. These monsters happen to be the strongest omnipotent beings on the island. With a broad smile on his face, Arata declares that he will share a peaceful life with them. Arata's past is revealed. Only 1 month ago, he died as a 30-year-old Japanese worker. The strange voice that reported his death was actually God, who explained that he accidentally cast his death, which is why Arata is given the special liberty to be sent off to a different world. At the time, God inquired what kind of wish he would want to see fulfilled. Arata declared wanting to live a completely relaxed life on an island that is free from the annoyance of others. He now sits in front of a beautiful view, contemplating how overworking his body to death was a mistake on God's part. Arata recalls wishing for a body that is immune from injury. God blessed him with an ability that allows Arata to copy the skill and magic of any being he comes across. Arata doesn't feel overly confident in his skill and thinks that he wouldn't have to worry about getting sick or injured thanks to his blessings. He acknowledges his lack of experience in survival situations and wonders if surviving on his own would be difficult on this island. Arata rekindled his determination and declared that he would do his best to secure a peaceful life. Entering the forest, Arata experienced the effects of his new body as he was able to move without exhaustion, and felt no difficulty traversing the forest. Arata voiced how there is truly no one else apart from him on the island. At the time, he wanted to quickly make sure of the kind of island it was. Arata decided to look for food supplies and focused his attention on the animals. Suddenly, he spotted a rabbit in the wild, surprising himself that they exist in this world. Arata thought about it for a moment and realized that he could pretty much cook the rabbit. The rabbit gleamed with determination, while Arata apologized for what he was about to do to the furball. He prioritizes his well-being and reaches his hand toward the rabbit. That is until he gets instantly headbutted at once. However, even the rabbit is surprised that Arata is basically standing uninjured. Arata is endlessly confused, questioning what even happened. He prepares a punch and is about to lunge himself towards the rabbit. The rabbit nearly escapes, except Arata's punch is so incredibly powerful that the shockwaves are enough to blow the creature into the tree. The rabbit collapses, defeated on the ground, while Arata is left to wonder why it was launched with such intensity. Bro sent that rabbit back to God LMAO. He also comments how rabbits are incredibly fast on this island for some reason. While he is about to collect the unconscious body of the beast, Arata senses another beast from nearby. Entering his domain is a ferocious wolf staring down at its prey. Arata thinks that he is in deep trouble and contemplates the idea of running. He wonders if the wolf intends to collect the rabbit instead of hurting Arata. Sensing this turnabout, Arata launches the rabbit into the skies and instantly makes a run for his life. He runs as fast as he can until he is out of breath and hides behind a tree. Arata is confident that the wolf has stopped chasing him and is relieved. He feels fear of death and finally realizes that this is the life he is going to live on this island. As the day goes by, Arata decides to head back to the beach, hoping to hunt for fresh water the following day. That night, under the starry sky, Arata reflects on how he ran across many unknown paths, yet he doesn't feel extremely tired. Arata wonders if this is, in fact, the work of his spell that God blessed him to never get injured. He doesn't regret having requested God about the island, and wonders if he can really live with confidence. That is until his gaze shifts to the beautiful night sky, decorated with an orchestra of stars. Arata believes that if his eyes are capable of witnessing the same view each day, then he doesn't regret living alone. Instead of fear, Arata is excited by the thought of living all by himself and having the most fun he has ever had. The following day, Arata affirms that this isn't just a dream, and that he doesn't even feel the slightest tired, despite sleeping on uncomfortable rocks. He enjoys having been blessed with a unique body that is immune to tiredness and injury alike. Arata takes a walk on the beach, intrigued to get a look at the island. He tends to the sea and wonders if there is something he can find to eat. As he is walking, Arata is shocked to discover a human girl unconscious on the beach. He hurries to her aid and wonders why the girl is unconscious in the middle of nowhere. Arata is plagued with questions that he chooses to postpone as he tends to her health. Frightened by the possibility of her death, Arata questions if he should really do what is necessary. With great hesitation, Arata apologizes and performs mouth-to-mouth CPR in the hopes of expelling water out of the girl's system. With his efforts, Arata finds signs of life coming from the girl and finds himself in relief. He experiences joy when he sees her face color return to normal. Arata takes a moment to appreciate her glamorous beauty and becomes peeved by the thought that another human exists on the island. Arata contemplates leaving the girl to herself. He finds himself in consideration for the girl and begins removing her clothes. Arata loses his composure momentarily and manages to dress her up in his attire. Arata proceeds to dry her wet clothes and observes that he might have actually surfaced the likes of a fantasy world. While he is talking crap about her clothes, the girl finally regains consciousness and questions his identity. Arata welcomes her and introduces himself by name. He explains the situation and inquires if she is all right. The girl is confused as to why she's had a change of outfit. She finally realizes what Arata did and becomes flustered. Being grateful for Arata's efforts to save her, Arata is taken aback by her kind words. After her clothes are properly dried, Arata requests for her to share her name. Raina Mistoral greets him with confidence and claims that she was ordered to go to the furthest island. There was a storm that crashed her sail and basically ensured their demise. Raina had no expectations of survival because of that. When she asks about Arata's situation on the island, Arata finds himself in difficulty, having to explain how he arrived. He doesn't want to reveal anything about his past or God's blessings. Arata ambiguously tells her that he just came here without knowing. Raina doesn't think to question him much and turns back to once again appreciate Arata's consideration for her life. The two of them decide to hunt for food and water by entering the forest. Navigating through the harsh environment, Raina finds herself exhausted while Arata stands unfazed. She commends him for being a fit person. Raina comments about the strange nature of the island and how it went undiscovered under the eyes of the king, despite being nearby. As Raina is trying to connect the dots, Arata spots a pack of wolves ready to devour them whole. While Arata is worried, Raina carves an arrogant smile, stating there is no need to panic. Extending her hand and concentrating magic, Raina declares that the great magician Raina would never choose to run away. She launches an incredible attack that annihilates the three wolves in one swoop motion. Arata is left astounded by the spectacle he witnessed before his eyes. However, one wolf survives the onslaught and actually attacks them from their blind spot. Arata is able to use his body to serve as bait for the wolf. Raina screams in worry while Arata just stands there thinking how it doesn't hurt him even the slightest bit. The poor wolf is suspended in the air, thinking that its surprise attack was useless in the end. The two of them wonder if the wolf was weakened because of Raina's previous attack. In response, Arata decides to punch the wolf lightly and ends up launching the beast into oblivion. Both Raina and Arata are shocked when they discover that his attack blew apart a tree from impact. Arata reflects that it's the same power he felt while attacking the rabbit only a day ago. Bearing witness to his powers, Raina questions Arata's true identity. I know his identity, it's Saitama from freaking One Punch Man. While Arata is lost for words, Raina instructs him to run as fast as he can in the opposite direction upon her signal. A beast of terror and doom, the monstrous alpha of the wolf pack, arrives before them. Arata realizes that the monster is entirely out of their reach, even if they fight together. Raina directs him to run away while he still can, and she launches a magical attack. The attack does nothing to the wolf, shocking Raina at the ineffectiveness of her magic. The monster lunges forth to devour her whole. As Raina is about to meet her doom, Arata speedily tackles her and saves her from the monster's wrath. Raina scolds him for being stupid enough not to run away while he still has the chance. Arata counters that the monster would still catch up to him no matter what he did. Raina declares that she will become a decoy for him as best she can. Hearing her words, Arata realizes that Raina is willing to put herself through great agony just to protect him. Best girl Raina in the comments, go. Filled with admiration for the girl, Arata steps up and vows to protect her. He challenges the wolf head-on, affirming to himself that he will live. As the beast lunges forward, Arata prepares an attack, hoping to create a path that allows Raina to run away. Arata warns the forces of nature never to underestimate humanity, and launches the giant wolf with a single punch. The wolf is sent flying into the air, while Arata internalizes that the body not only protects him from illnesses or injury, but also ensures that he maintains monstrous strength. My guy literally has that lore-accurate Greek god physique. Raina is paralyzed by what she just saw, while Arata welcomes the experiences that he will have to face in the future. Arata recaps how the gods managed to accidentally kill him, and gave him a second chance at reincarnation of a new life. He was allowed to be granted any wish, and ask for a body that didn't get ill or injured. He was also blessed with the ability to learn and copy any kind of magic. After watching it once, he began living his life on the island, and discovered that his powers were a little too strong. Raina confronts him, saying that she has never witnessed the strength of a human being so powerful. She questions if this strength is only normal for Arata. Raina is clearly annoyed and claims that even with her body strengthening magic, she pales in comparison to his strength. She questions if Arata's magic is stronger than that of a 7-star magician, that being herself. Raina clearly doesn't like being fooled around, but Arata wonders how he should tackle this situation. He wonders if he should just tell her the truth, but somehow knows that Raina will never be able to take her at his word. Raina senses his sorrowful expression, and apologizes for an interrogative approach. She confesses that Arata became her savior twice. Arata thinks that he would have reacted the same way if their positions were switched. He advises her not to make a sad expression, as he is not angry in the first place. Raina thinks that she is being treated like a mere child. Arata claims that this isn't the case. He switches the topic and asks Raina about the specialty of being a 7-star magician. His question alone offends her, as she is shocked. He knows not a single thing about the 7-star magicians. I don't even know who you are be like. Raina explains that a 7-star magician is basically a title only reserved for the absolute strongest magicians in the country, bearing powers so strong they could fight off a dragon. In fact, they're popularly admired throughout the continent. Raina happens to be the youngest ever 7-star magician and, therefore, the least experienced. She emphasizes that even with her strengthening magic, she wouldn't be able to reach the heights of Arata's physical prowess. Arata thinks that he would definitely be kidnapped if he ended up on the mainland. Raina tells him to hurry up to find the source of water. Suddenly, Arata hears something nearby, and suggests going in a specific direction, as he hears the noise of water flowing. The two of them follow the same path, and after enough travel, they are greeted with the luscious sight of a stream. Raina is taken aback by the fact that Arata is able to hear the flow of water from such a long distance. Arata knows that he has to check if the water is still drinkable. He uses the benefits of his body not being able to get sick as an advantage, and drinks the water. Arata feels refreshed, and suggests Raina do the same. Instead, he is surprised that Raina is already chopping down food for them to eat. Arata spots her working in full concentration, and discovers that her eyes reflect her expertise and skill. Arata inquires where she was able to find the kitchen. Raina tells him that she merely used storage magic to do the job. Arata is, of course, struck with confusion, since he has never heard of storage magic before. Raina explains that storage magic allows the person to store things well, and take them out whenever needed. Well, the floor is made out of floor. Water is wet. The space changes depending on one's magic power, and since she is a 7-star magician, her storage space is basically the size of a mansion. Raina tells him to relax while she is done preparing their meal. Arata is a little envious of her storage magic and wants to do the same. Suddenly, she spots the same space vortex. Arata reaches his hand into the portal and becomes shocked at his ability to use storage magic. He realizes that this is the second power that he was bestowed with, the ability to copy skills, just by glancing at them once. Raina turns to him, and luckily doesn't see him use storage magic. Arata clings to his confusion, and reflects that he could have gotten in deep trouble if she had seen his magic. Raina proceeds to craft a table out of nowhere using her magic. After preparing everything, Raina explained that she is also an S-rank adventurer, which means she is used to eating outside. When Arata pours him his meal, he is enthralled by the sight of the tomato soup, to the point his stomach begins grumbling. As he is about to dig in, Arata and Raina are drawn to a close because a random child with fluffy ears has just invaded their table out of nowhere. The unknown kid feels delighted by the meal and commends Raina's cooking skills. Raina and Arata are both left wondering what they should even do. If a kid like that is gonna invade my savory meal, I'm putting them up for adoption, bruh. Raina feels a sudden quiver taking over her body. Arata rushes to her aid and realizes that she's not in top shape. Arata senses that it must be because of the child. Arata grabs her and scolds her for eating other people's food without permission. Raina tells him that she's fine with her eating to her heart's content. Arata emphasizes that kids need to be taught manners. Raina suggests he let go, while Arata wonders why she's so stressed. LMFAO, this man Arata is acting like an actual parent. When he puts her down, Arata inquires for her name. Luna introduces herself heartily. Arata takes a knee and tells Luna that she ate his portion of the tomato soup. Luna becomes saddened and apologizes for her actions. Arata pats her and claims that it's fine as long as she apologizes. He turns to Raina to ask for more food. Raina claims that she's got half a year's worth of food since she prepared a lot for the journey to the island. Arata politely asks her to make another portion for Luna. Raina is surprised at first, but displays no objections. With her agreement, Luna sparks with joy and thanks her. While she is busy cooking them a meal, Luna asks for Arata's name. Arata reflects that God must have ensured the island to be filled with food for survival. He intends to learn how to cook so that he can help reduce Raina's burden. He turns to Luna and internalizes that even though the island doesn't possess any humans, it harbors beastmen like Luna. Arata curiously asks if more people inhabit the island. Luna confirms that she is part of the godly beast tribe, which includes the demon tribe, the ancient dragon tribe, and even the vampire tribe. Luna emphasizes that there are many tribes, which comes as a surprise to Arata. Arata is relieved that there isn't any semblance of humans on the island. Raina finishes up their meal, and they enjoy it to their heart's content. After saying goodbye to Luna, Raina sets up a large tent as their main base for the time being. Raina continues from her previous conversation and explains that she is one of the 7-star magicians who was sent off to the island because of the rumors about the medicine of immortality. Raina sulks, having to explain that she journeyed with her knights, but now she's not so confident that they survived. Arata reflects that the island is, in fact, the most isolated, except for the existence of the powerful tribes. Raina finally explains that Luna actually boasts powers many times beyond Raina, which was why she faded into such a reaction. Arata doesn't sense much from the girl, and thinks that Luna wouldn't be one to cause destruction. Raina explains that Luna is, in fact, very strong. Arata asks about the godly beasts and the demons, to which Raina claims that the mythological creatures were once lost in history and roamed the continent when the human species didn't even exist. There were stories of dragons being able to demolish cities on their own, as well as the existence of vampires that remain imaginary to this day. Arata realizes that the island is the furthest thing from the ordinary. Raina states that they might encounter even more powerful monsters, just like Luna, and should prioritize scoping out the island to ensure their survival. Raina emphasizes that the two of them are just human at the end of the day, and they should prioritize escaping the island as soon as possible. Arata is surprised she doesn't want to look for the medicine. Raina explains that she didn't have much hope for it to exist in the first place. Raina also shares that they would require actual knights to scope out the island. Arata internalizes that he doesn't really want outside intruders to come by. Arata suggests that they build a boat of some kind. Raina tells him that he's going to have to work intensely for the cause. Arata feels that he needs to cooperate with Raina to ensure a peaceful life. He intends to make full use of his abilities and copy some of Raina's powers. Arata thoroughly intends to live the rest of his life on the island and shares that Raina is different from him. He wishes to work together for her escape for the time being. The following morning, Arata wakes up dreadfully, sharing the same tent to sleep in with a girl. He wakes up exhausted and unable to sleep properly. Arata goes outside and welcomes the beautiful day once again. He hopes for the day to be filled with peace and is greeted by Luna, who crashes his party. Luna has brought a scary-looking friend. Arata is left to question the man's identity. Glaring at him, the Beastman questions if Arata is the newcomer who arrived on the island. Faced with this creature, Arata is overwhelmed by his strength. Aluga introduces himself and explains that he is a member of the godly beast tribe. He asks Arata for his name and turns his attention to the girl hiding in the tent. Aluga strangely thinks that it is an invitation to fight and suggests the magician stop with her antics. Raina succumbs to reality and comes out of hiding. Arata is shocked to see her expression, as even though she is a 7-star magician, her face shows otherwise. Arata senses that the beast man before them must be incredibly strong. Arata paces ahead while Luna argues with Aluga for trying to invoke a needless fight. Aluga claims that humans are the ones who initiate the fight. Luna tells him that he has a scary face, which is why they are on guard. Arata wonders if this guy is their enemy at all at this point. He politely asks Aluga to state his purpose. Aluga emphasizes that he should drop the formality and emphasizes that the humans are living in his territory. Arata apologizes and states that they never plan to stay on the island and thus have no information about the territorial landscape. Aluga finds their excuse acceptable and states that no human would venture on Arcadia, God's island, on purpose. Arata connects the dots, while Aluga states that they can stay as long as they don't pose trouble. He also warns them that although the Beastmen aren't known to be aggressive, the demon and the dragon tribes are prone to cause them immense trouble. Arata thinks that it's only fair to assume the worst and requests more information from Aluga. Aluga is annoyed at first, but ultimately decides to help Arata. He leaves to fetch them a map of the island. Arata is impressed by his kind gesture, while Luna mentions how Aluga only talks smack, but he's a truly kind person. Bro is the definition of a male tsundere, if I've ever seen one. Suddenly, Raina begins to experience more headaches and severe pain inflicted on her body. Raina states that an immense concentration of magic conflicted with her body, resigning it to a trembling mess. Arata wonders if this is an effect special to magicians and feels amazed that a mere encounter with a resident of the island has reduced her to such a state. Luna succumbs to guilt and asks if it's her fault. Raina tells her that no one is at fault, and instead, it's her weakness because of her inferior levels of magic. Basically, she called herself weak in 45,000 ways. Arata sees Raina's smile and thinks she is a mature person for not pointing blame and always assuming responsibility. In a strange way, she inspires Arata. Aluga returns to explain that he has found the map. He sees them sharing a meal and gets annoyed that he spent an entire hour searching the map, only to discover them having lots of fun. Raina offers Aluga food. When the Beastman takes his first bite, he roars in admiration for the taste. Arata wonders if the Beastmen love to shout while they eat food. After the meal, Arata and Raina do the dishes. Arata wonders about Aluga and Luna's relationship and thinks that they're like siblings. Raina thanks him for helping her out and emphasizes that he stepped up to protect her when Aluga confronted them. Arata thinks that it was a small misunderstanding in the end. Raina tells him that she never expected someone else to protect her, confessing how she felt moved by the gesture. Raina advises him to return to the tent. Aluga lays the map of God's island, Arcadia. He explains the different territories of the Beastmen, the dragons, and the demons. Aluga explains that they're not fond of each other and fight occasionally when necessary. He also points to the existence of grand elves who don't prefer coming out of their territories. When Arata asks if the species like to blend in with each other, Aluga is quick to correct him that they've lived for many years and don't really have an interest in fighting. Arata is relieved that he won't have to face a million monsters if they're not looking for a fight. He asks Aluga about a good location to stay if one desires to live on the island. The question itself shocks Aluga, who can't comprehend the logic behind Arata's interest, as the island is too strong for mere humans to live on. Arata reflects that his incredibly potent body should grant him a chance to survive on the island. He doesn't know how to communicate the thought to Aluga. Arata suddenly hears a strange noise. Aluga becomes elated and declares that Emperor Boar is approaching them. Both Luna and Aluga are delighted to welcome the feast. Arata inquires further about Emperor Boar, but Aluga tells him that it's just a piece of meat that tastes delicious to them. While they're enjoying the thought of hunting this beast, Raina reveals that there is a strong monster called a king boar, capable of wreaking destruction in any town. The gargantuan monster pummels through the forest, while Arata comments about its massive size. Aluga tells Luna to watch, as she is still a child. Luna denies sitting around, because she wants to join him in the fun. Aluga accepts her challenge, and prepares for the boar to strike. Arata thinks that the two of them are strong enough to defeat the monster on their own. Arata fears for their safety and knows that they'll be in deep trouble if Luna and Aluga fail against this monster. The rampaging boar destroys everything in its path, and Raina and Arata are left to question what they should do in this situation. Arata realizes that Raina is in danger and decides to step ahead of her to protect her from harm. Raina questions what he is doing and tells him to run. Arata strengthens his faith in the powers that he received from God and thinks that they'll never be able to live on the island if they can't stop the threat. Arata stands determined to face this battle. The boar hurls at him at full speed and is brought to a shocking stop. Aluga, Luna, and Raina are all shocked by the powers of this human, who capably stopped the boar's rampage without moving an inch. Arata claims that he is the one to have stopped the monster, therefore, he should be the one to finish it off. Preparing a heavy fist, Arata declares that the boar is soon to become his lunch. He launches the boar with a phenomenal force that it is sent flying. Arata celebrates victory, except the problem is that this guy has probably sent the monster out of space, which means they've lost their meal. All four of them begin to lose their minds at the realization that their delicious meat is no more. Aluga and Luna confront Arata for being stupid enough to send their meal flying. Raina tells them that she'll take care of the food in return for his forgiveness. Aluga and Luna eventually forgive him, while Arata thanks Raina for covering his back. Aluga tells Arata that he can live in the same territory, since there are lots of fields and there won't be any shortage of food. Arata is surprised by his change in demeanor. Aluga states that he was wrong to assume Arata was a human. Arata emphasizes that he is, in fact, a human. Aluga denies such a thing, as no human would be capable of stopping an emperor boar on his own. Arata's words are unable to persuade them. Aluga tells him that he's a funny person, and Luna fancies the human, so he doesn't mind keeping them around. Happy to hear such words, Arata thanks the Beastmen. Raina also doesn't have a choice but to stay around, since she has no method of going back in the meantime. Luna is happy that they can still have fun together. Arata is glad that they're able to enjoy some time for themselves. He looks to the heavens and enters a blank expression. Arata points to the skies and questions what he's looking at. A gigantic winged dragon is revealed to be their newest threat. Aluga realizes that it's the work of the dragon tribe, while Arata spots the same emperor boar that he launched into oblivion. The dragon seems to be carrying it, and eventually releases the beast on top of them. With the gigantic monster descending from the skies, Arata warns his friends to take cover. The monster crashed to the ground, but luckily Arata protected them with his body. Aluga is once again impressed, and states that Arata isn't a human. While he is busy dealing with Emperor Boar, Arata warns his friends as the dragon is flying toward them. Aluga questions if Arata is even capable of stopping the beast. Arata asserts that he can and prepares to stop him. The dragon continues to descend, while Arata is determined to catch the beast. Suddenly, the dragon transforms out of nowhere and pounces on top of Arata. The girl admires Arata's courage in proposing, and claims that her husband is immensely powerful. Arata doesn't know what's going on, but at the very least, he has confirmed that she harbors no ill intentions toward them. Arata wonders what he should do, and looks to Raina for advice. Raina, on the other hand, is experiencing unbearable trembling. Her body is incapable of adjusting to the magical presence of the mighty beast. Arata realizes that she is completely out of it, and realizes that the three combined must be posing a toll on Raina's health. He hastens to get away from the area. Arata runs off with Raina and secures her near the stream. Raina is still in terrible shape, and finds herself panting for breath. Arata advises her to take slow breaths and comforts her while she is in pain. Thankfully, Raina manages to fall into a state of sleep. Arata is relieved that she is able to rest in the meantime and spots Luna, who has come worried about Raina's health. Arata tells Luna to take slow steps towards them. Luna is sad, because she knows that Raina feels pain every time they're close to each other. Arata tells her not to be worried, as Raina loves spending time with them. He advises Luna to instead suppress her magic powers, so that she doesn't feel hindered by the effects. Luna vows to do as per his instructions. Arata is glad and tells her to look after Raina while he is away. Arata states that he is going to find the dragon's intent. Back at their base, Aluga is pinning the dragon girl in place because she wants to catch up to Arata. Arata finally returns while Aluga asks if all is well with Raina. Arata turns to the dragon girl and inquires for her name. The dragon girl happily introduces herself as Teltu, an ancestor of the great Bahamut dragon, and a member of the dragon tribe. Arata figures that she might be some kind of great dragon among her tribe. He also introduces himself. Teltu finds the name Arata to be pretty strong. Arata questions why she repeatedly keeps calling him her husband. Teltu is confused by the weird question, and emphasizes that Arata bravely proposed to her. Arata is drawn to a blank state, and states that he doesn't recall ever doing that. Teltu is stunned and reminds him that Arata sent the dragons and Emperor Boar. Teltu explains proposing to the members of the dragon tribe requires defeating a strong monster, and then giving it to a girl. Teltu states that Arata became responsible for that, and she couldn't help but accept his beloved proposal. Arata realizes that nothing is going right in this conversation and inquires further. Teltu explains that the dragons were taking a nap when the Emperor Boar crashed down from the sky. She investigated the matter and discovered that Arata was the one who threw the boar with his strength. Teltu emphasizes that dragons only wed themselves to creatures stronger than them. That is the reason she became excited at the thought of having a strong husband. Teltu threw the Emperor Boar back to confirm that she had accepted his proposal. Arata is exhausted by the conversation and thinks that she still doesn't have any ill intentions, even though he didn't mean to propose to her. Arata acknowledges that the misunderstanding stems from his actions, and he'll have to explain everything slowly. After a long explanation, Teltu is left heartbroken because Arata never intended to propose to her. She is devastated and thinks that she was misled in the end. Teltu plays with the dirt, sulking about how no one approaches the ancient dragons because of their imposing strength. She thinks that no one will be able to marry someone like her, which is a reality that she has now accepted. Aluga tells our boy straight up that Teltu is a little annoying. Nah, this dude is based as heck. Arata thinks for a moment and wonders if Teltu is also an outcast among her tribe. He thinks that he has done a terrible thing by breaking her heart. Arata turns to Emperor Boar and invites Teltu to feast together on the meal. Teltu thinks that Arata is trying to trick him. Arata takes her hand and states that all of them, as well as Teltu, can share a meal. He invites Teltu to become their friend, an invitation that she wholeheartedly accepts. Teltu reveals she is great at cooking and shows off her fire-breathing prowess. They decide to go over to Raina to ask how they're going to cook the Emperor Boar. Returning to the same spot where he left Raina, Arata and his group of friends arrive to find Raina, who is fully conscious. Raina apologizes to Aluga and thinks that it's her fault for being weak. Aluga turns to Arata and tells him that Raina is also impressively strong in her own right. Raina inquires about the dragon girl who fell from the skies. Teltu introduces herself as one of the strongest dragons that inhabit the island. Arata states that she's just the dragon they met earlier. Teltu is still obsessed with Arata and calls him her husband. After explaining the entire affair, Raina wonders if Arata is blessed by the mischievous god, Loki, who brings trouble to people of blessings. She turns to Teltu, who is open enough to declare that they compete for Arata's love. Arata is stunned by the audacity of this dragon. Raina explains that it's only been 2 days since she and Arata encountered each other, and they're no more than friends. Teltu doesn't like her reasoning and states that it's only natural for a girl to want a strong guy for their protection. Raina clarifies that she shares no such relationship with Arata in the same way. Even Luna is surprised because she thinks they are having an affair together. Oh, so the entire group except our little dragon of destruction is rooting for them. Although Aluga is enjoying their conversation, he reminds them that their meal is sitting in wait. Raina and the others go back to cook the Emperor Boar while Arata stands in silence. Returning to the base, Raina explains she'll carve open the stomach and let Aluga take care of the meat. Teltu ascends in the sky to allow Raina an accurate target. Raina manifests her powers as a 7-star magician and chants Saber Rose. Her attack literally slashes away the beast's stomach. It impresses Aluga, who goes ahead and rips out the meat. Arata is fascinated, while Luna tells him that Aluga is actually the best hunter in their tribe. After a while, they're able to extract all of the meat. Raina questions how they're going to be able to eat piles and piles of meat before them. Arata suggests she do something using her magic. Even though Raina wants to use storage magic for food preservation, she thinks the space isn't large enough to compile all of the meat. That's when Arata recommends they put it in his storage space. Raina is baffled by his suggestion. Arata thinks that he will simply use the same storage skill from before and store the meat. In the blink of an eye, Arata is able to completely transfer all of the meat inside his storage space. While Luna, Aluga, and Teltu are impressed, a particular 7-star magician is greatly annoyed. She probably got that gamer rage in store for him. Wearing a malicious smile, Raina questions how Arata has been able to use storage magic with a space greater than that of a mage of her caliber. Arata is barely able to come up with an excuse. Raina reminds him that she'll be asking a ton of questions later. The meat is excellently grilled, and they dig in to savor the delicacy. All of them are quick to devour the meat. Aluga and Arata even spark competition between each other. Raina made a special sauce just for the occasion, which impressed both Luna and Teltu. Arata spots Raina cooking the best part of the boar's meat and awaits in anticipation. The flavor already melts in his mouth as he describes the taste. Arata thinks that no one else aside from him knows its specialty. He immediately lunges forth to seize victory for himself. Raina swats his hand and reminds the guy to share the special meat with the rest. All 5 of them enjoy a hearty meal, before eventually saying goodbye for the night. That night, Raina converses with Arata about their hectic day. Arata confirms that they've had busy days so far. Raina tells him that Arata became responsible for saving her life yet again. Arata is thankful for her efforts. He appreciates her making delicious food for them and preparing the tent. Arata confesses the desire to stay on the island and protect Raina with his might, as he would be useless otherwise. Raina is taken aback by his words and lets out a laugh. Raina tells him that she has never heard such words before, as she was always seen as a tool. Arata thinks that it's a rough life for the 7-star magicians. Raina emphasizes that she is one of the weakest among the other magicians of her caliber, even though her strength is still a monumental achievement. She never thought anyone would protect her. Arata is drawn to a frowning expression, while Raina thinks that Arata is truly odd because she feels different about her. Raina states that all 3 of their newest allies are capable of wreaking mass destruction on the land of humans. She knows that Arata is quite possibly stronger than all of them, as no other human is capable of possessing such strength. Even though she wishes not to ask, Raina can't help but question Arata's real identity. Arata is conflicted and reflects that Raina is the first person he met in his second life, and even though they've known each other for a short time, Arata has gotten to trust her. That being said, Arata doesn't know the consequences that would follow if he talks about his reincarnation. He thinks that if she doesn't believe him, she will lose trust in Arata. Swallowing the feelings of guilt, Arata thinks that he should accept reality if it really comes to that. He no longer wants to lie in front of her. With great strength, Arata musters the resolve to confess that he is not from their world. Everything pauses for a moment. Arata continues that he has already died in his original world, met God, been reincarnated, and received powers. Having confessed everything, Arata anticipates her reaction. Raina surprisingly finds it a fitting description, leaving Arata stunned, as she didn't question his words even once. Raina thinks that although it's hard to accept that he met God, she finds it believable, because of his crazy encounters and otherworldly strength. Raina reminds him that ordinary humans don't just toss monsters into the air like they're nothing. She believes his words and states that Arata is working diligently even now. Raina voices her wish to cooperate with Arata even now. Her words once again leave him at a loss for words, as he didn't expect her to believe. Arata thanks Raina and returns her sentimental words with a smile. A week flew by ever since he came to this island. Arata is starting to get used to their surroundings, and the survival aspect also doesn't pose them trouble, thanks to their new lifestyle. Raina taught him magic, which granted Arata access to a number of different spells. He feels a little guilty for relying on her all the time, and wishes to lessen her workload. Suddenly, Arata hears a familiar voice from nearby. He draws near to inspect and realizes that it's the same kind of rabbit he met on day 1. Arata feels bad for beating the living daylights out of the little guy before. Well, the rabbit doesn't feel the same for him, and headbutts him in the same manner, once again stunned that Arata is unaffected. Arata pets the creature and advises it to chill out. Casually said, "Sit down, lil bro. You're not all that." Raina comes along and discovers that Arata has found a rabbit. Arata wants to let her carry the rabbit, but it's too squirmy and doesn't want to let go. Arata proceeds to lightly flick the rabbit as punishment, and well, it faints like a Pokémon. Arata wonders what he should do, while Raina reveals that the object that he is holding is a literal disaster-class monster. Arata doesn't comprehend her words, so Raina explains that all disaster-class monsters are those that are beyond the abilities of humans. In fact, this little guy requires the summoning of 7 great magicians, or the strongest adventurers, to fight for their lives. I never expected to read a manga where rabbits were capable of ending humanity, but here we are. Arata is in utter disbelief that this same rabbit is capable of such destruction. He finally understands why the rabbit was shocked both times when it didn't deal him any damage from its attack. Meanwhile, Teltu comes rushing into Arata and feels impressed that her husband didn't die from being randomly bumped. Teltu explains that she has come to play with her husband. Arata doesn't know what kind of games Teltu wants to play. Teltu sets her sights on the rabbit and claims that she faces much difficulty catching the little guys. While they're busy in the rabbit conversation, Arata is attacked by the 3rd headbutt of the day, this time being Luna. Luna greets Teltu, who gets annoyed and hides behind Arata's back. Raina greets the two and pats Luna for learning how to say hello properly. Teltu requires a similar gesture of affection from Arata. Arata leads them into the forest and suggests playing a game of hunting. He pairs himself with Teltu and Raina with Luna. The goal is to hunt the most for victory. The game begins as the groups disperse to their areas. After a while of scouting around, both Teltu and Arata fail to secure even one hunt. He hears Raina and Luna doing well on their mission, mainly due to her skills as an S-ranked adventurer. Arata is worried and wonders if they'll even find any monsters around here. Teltu explains that the monsters are all afraid of their terrifying strength, which is why they aren't exposing themselves to the danger. Arata thinks that it's just a hindrance to their hunting competition. He imagines the same to be happening to Raina's team. Arata claims that not only is he a dunce when it comes to hunting tactics, but he also doesn't know how he can support Teltu with his powers. At last, Arata thinks of an epic idea to gain the edge. He tells Teltu to leave everything to him. Arata sits down and reflects on how his body allows him to hear noises from distant lands. With focused concentration, Arata is able to locate the noise of a creature from nearby. He directs Teltu in the creature's direction, and they hastily arrive at the scene. Teltu and Arata are surprised to meet the disaster-class rabbits, who immediately try to make their escape. Arata thinks that it's because of Teltu's presence as a dragon, as otherwise they would have attacked him. Arata doesn't share any intentions of letting them run away, and chucks a powerful rock, taking down one of the rabbits. Teltu, on the other hand, proceeds to hunt another rabbit. For the final one, Arata uses the magic that he recently learned from Raina, molding the dirt into the imagination of a person. Arata imagines a cage and summons one at once. Teltu warns Arata that the disaster-class rabbits are capable of destroying such walls with ease. The rabbit lunges forth to obliterate the wall, only to suffer the recoil damage from the unbreakable wall. Arata is glad to have acquired the third rabbit, while Teltu is left utterly stunned. Raina and Luna have already returned to the camp. Luna welcomes Arata and claims that their hunt went really well. Aluga is also there and prepares to skin the monsters while they're busy. Teltu doesn't like Aluga as much because he once called her a weak and annoying dragon. Arata reflects that Teltu speaks to them normally, but is afraid of talking to Luna and Aluga. Arata knows that Teltu is only getting by because she is excited about the wedding proposal. Now that her feelings have started to settle in, she is beginning to realize the difficulties of connecting with others. Arata wants to help her with her troubles. Luna inquires how much they hunted. Arata decides to use her as the perfect opportunity for Teltu. He uses Teltu as a means of conversation. Teltu explains that they caught 3 rabbits. Luna becomes excited and finds herself fascinated by their achievements. Teltu turns to Arata for support, who gestures to her to do her best to get along with the Beastmen. Luna is curious to inquire how she was able to hunt the rabbits. Teltu roars, saying that she can train Luna by hunting at once. Arata is glad when the two decide to play with each other until their lunch is ready. A whole month has passed since Arata's arrival on the island. Aluga recommends against the south of the island, as it is filled with the younger members of the dragon and demon tribes. Aluga knows that Arata will be fine mostly on his own, but Raina wouldn't fare so well. Arata inquires about the domain of the higher elves. Aluga explains they prefer isolation, and normally never come to attack them. Luna adds that there are spirits, too, so they need to be careful. Arata is beginning to understand that a hierarchical system exists within each tribe. In Aluga's case, the normal beastmen live normally, aside from the godly beastmen. The same goes for the high elves and the great spirits, who are treated like gods. Arata thinks that he should first visit the village of the beast tribe. Aluga is open to telling everything, and recommends bringing a souvenir along for a welcoming approach. When Arata asks if there is any way to get off the island, Aluga emphasizes that there isn't. Aluga explains that a powerful barrier conceals the island, making it impossible to leave. The ones who can enter are only mages. Aluga claims that the barrier ensures the monsters don't escape the vicinity, and was created by God to constrict any disasters that would wreak havoc in the outside world. Arata realizes that this is an inescapable island, and even though he doesn't feel obstructed by the thought, Arata is worried about Raina. Even though he has been reincarnated, Raina hasn't been the same. Arata expresses an innate desire to help her escape the island no matter what. Arata determines that he will indefinitely live on this island until he can, and he will also ensure Raina returns to her homeland. Those are his 2 objectives. That night, Arata shares his plan, as he wants to go to the Beastmen village for a proper permit for the Beastmen territory. Arata thinks that it's necessary for them to get everyone's approval, since they're going to be living here for a while. Raina signs an agreement because she is willing to go with him. While Raina is relieving herself in the bath, Arata is on guard, knowing that there are threats for him to look out for. Even though he is aware that Raina is capable of defeating most monsters aside from an Emperor Boar, he doesn't want to leave any chances. Arata's body allows him to hear any monster approaching them. He feels an immense power surging through the skies. The figure draws near, forming a silhouette ahead of the moon. The high vampire is fascinated by receiving new outsiders that have infiltrated her home island. Arata comments that she bears the eyes of a predator and wonders what she even is. Based on her appearance, Arata thinks that she is definitely one of the stronger creatures of her race. The vampire descends and introduces herself as Yuil, Helmina, Yuarmian, Yuilheim. Girl, your name should be my password, cause what the fudge is that? Arata returns the favor and states that he doesn't know how he came to find himself on the island. She smiles, thinking that finally the island has become entertaining. The vampire turns her attention to the tent and thinks she should feast on a delicious meal. She launches an icicle pike at the tent. Arata is stunned by her intentions and immediately swoops in to block her attack. His graceful movements astonish the vampire, who realizes that he is quite strong. However, the vampire isn't so easy to give up and forms a barrage of pikes, ready to maul him down. Arata rushes in to smash most of the pikes, but there are just too many and they inevitably destroy their tent. A worried Arata sprints back to check on her health. He discovers a flustered Raina, who advises him to turn away. Seeing this, the vampire laughs in hilarity, suggesting they argue even more. Neither Arata nor Raina have any idea what's going on. The vampire explains that she has just enjoyed the perfect meal, as normal vampires suck blood, but high vampires are capable of devouring emotions. In fact, boredom is a threat to their immortality. She basically used Raina as a means to swallow her shame. Arata realizes that her intentions were never to kill him or Raina. The vampire finds herself in delight after enjoying the taste of embarrassment. These vampires are basically thriving on being a menace to society, and I'm all for it. While she is talking, a frustrated Raina counters with her wrath. She releases the saber slash attack, which actually dices the high vampire into pieces. The vampire isn't worried, as even with her crumbling body, she easily regenerates using bat-like metamorphosis. In fact, she is happy that Raina was angry enough to launch an attack, as that, too, served as a meal. The vampire shares that she prefers shame a lot more, as it is her favorite meal. Saying this, she flies off. An annoyed Raina is in the mood to kill her, while Arata is left wondering if he can even enjoy his peaceful life. The group finally arrives at the Beastmen's village. Arata was expecting a slightly different view and thought that it was just a normal village. Aluga welcomes them for arriving on time and introduces them to his wife, Olivia. Arata returns the greeting and shares his astonishment, as he didn't know Aluga was married. Olivia tells them that she became doubtful he was cheating on her since he snuck out every day. Damn, she really was ready to end our boy's life. Aluga suggests giving his friends a tour around the village. Arata takes a walk and realizes that the other villagers are staring at them. They're surprised that the other beastmen aren't as strong as Aluga. Aluga explains that the beastmen live long lives and inherit features from their ancestors, while the normal beastmen have lost their inherited powers. Aluga shows them the divided areas for the beastmen, based on their strength. Raina thinks that it's rather depressing and medieval. Aluga tells them that the normal beastmen treat them like gods without reason. The powerful beastmen of their tribe hunt in the forest, while the weaker beastmen farm vegetables. Luna states that they have mutual roles in the development of the village. Arata somewhat understands the feelings of the weaker beastmen. He knows that these people are ordinary, and they'll only face trouble if they don't hide behind the weaker beastmen. Arata bears witness to the absolute grandeur of Aluga and Luna's residence. The giant mansion is actually their leader's house, who is the only one to have survived among their ancestors. Luna affirms that the elder is quite strong, and they all pale in comparison to her strength. Aluga helps them enter inside, finding the legendary elder beastmen sitting across. She finds the foreigners interesting, while Raina acknowledges her dominating presence. Phoenix, the leader of the beast tribe, introduces herself. She recommends that they not be so formal with her and prefers that they relax. Phoenix states that she has been treated like a god or even an immortal in the past, but her current name is Suzaku, and she prefers them to call her that. Aluga is loyal and doesn't want to call her anything other than boss. In fact, he was raised by Suzaku, adding numbers to her age. Arata processes his surroundings and realizes that there are different kinds of beastmen, and that Suzaku and Aluga are unrelated by blood. Suzaku finally turns her attention to Arata, whom she has heard quite a bit. Suzaku chooses to acknowledge him and shoots an ember of a flame. Both Aluga and Raina are shocked, as that little attack actually results in an incredible burst of flame. Aluga and Raina are left shocked, while Arata doesn't feel much from his burning hand. Suzaku laughs, acknowledging Arata's strength. Raina is in utter disbelief and claims that the fire is imbued with incredible amounts of magic. Suzaku threw the attack with ease, and Arata caught it without worrying. Basically, she's far too impressed by the abilities of both beings. Aluga questions what Suzaku is doing to their guests. Suzaku declares that she is fascinated by Arata's strength, and that she hasn't extended the full use of her powers in a long time. However, she feels a wave of tiredness and chooses to rest instead. Aluga makes up for his leader's actions, but Arata doesn't seem fazed, since he gets used to this type of thing every day on the island. As time passes throughout the day, Suzaku announces the welcoming of the humans into their village. Suzaku emphasizes that Arata is one that wasn't scratched a bit by her flames, so he deserves an appropriate welcome. Even though Arata is embarrassed, he is worried that Raina might faint from the magic. Arata realized that Aluga had probably prepared everyone in the village to suppress their magic powers to prevent such a possibility. Arata is taken aback by the food and enjoys the meal with Suzaku, who equally appreciates the sandwich and appreciates Raina's expert cooking. While they are chatting about it, Arata senses an explosion nearby. Suzaku thinks that they're having fun, but Arata isn't too sure and explains that the mysterious creature is getting closer and closer. Suzaku explains that the creature is Gaia's, a behemoth monster who prefers going wild. It's not there to attack them. Instead, it appreciates Raina for having made the perfect meal. Gaia's points to Raina and demands that she become his wife. Arata quickly rushes in to protect her from the threat. The behemoth questions the tiny human, but Arata isn't in the mood to play and stands to protect her. Gaia's questions if Raina is willing to cook for him for the rest of her life. At the same time, Raina begins to experience a dizzied state. Arata realizes that while everyone else suppressed their magic, this guy is letting it loose without reason, as if to say he is above them. Arata grows annoyed, while Gaius tells him that he will crush the human. Arata prepares for the fight and enters the battle. Before they lunge forth, Suzaku's flames stop the battle, as she doesn't want them to continue. Gaius is defiant at first, but Suzaku shuns him for disrupting the peace of the villagers. Suzaku suggests that they settle it with a Beastman-styled sumo match. It's the first time both Arata and Raina have heard of such an exhibition. Aluga explains that, while they prohibit fighting among the villagers, people are allowed to settle their differences using the sumo match. Bets are placed, and the winner takes all. Arata and Gaius agree to settle their battle for Raina. Aluga poses obvious objections. Arata turns to Raina and asks her to trust in his abilities. Raina agrees, and states that she trusts him completely to win the battle. The villagers gather around in the sumo arena. Gaius tells him that he will take Raina for himself. Arata is bent on preventing the behemoth from taking Raina's hand. Suzaku states that if Arata wins the battle, he will be rewarded with whatever request he pleases. Knowing that Suzaku has been an inhabitant of the island for a long time, Arata has faith that she will know a way to escape the island. He turns to Raina and reflects on how he has received a lot of Raina's help. He wants to ensure that Raina returns home safely, which is why everything depends on his victory. Absolutely based protagonist. Like this video to show your support. The battle between the behemoth and the human finally begins as the two of them lunge forth. The two tackle each other at once. Arata is impressed by the sheer might of the behemoth Beastman and thinks that he is even stronger than Teltu. Be that as it may, Arata faces the odds and paces forth, not only stopping his advances, but also driving Gaius back. Suzaku is thoroughly impressed by his abilities. The villagers are quick to root for him, while Arata internalizes that he has an unfair advantage because of his body. Even then, he refuses to forgive the behemoth for attempting to take Raina by force. Arata tackles him with incredible might and declares his victory as he pushes Gaius to the edge of the ring. With Gaius stepping outside the boundary, Arata seizes his victory, fitting the conclusion of the match. The human emerges as the victor of this battle, while the behemoth Gaius is left stunned for words. Arata returns to Raina and shares his victory. Raina tells him that she wasn't worried much. Aluga is fascinated by Arata's powers and shares how he overwhelmed the behemoth with unbelievable strength. Gaius himself turns to Arata, who is on guard and wonders if Gaius is here to request another match. Gaius extends his hand and requests Arata to become his friend. Arata is surprised because Gaius has quickly become his fan. The behemoth tells him that he will help Arata when needed. Of course, he requests another match almost immediately. The rest of the villagers are also eager to face him. In the end, Arata managed to defeat every single challenger. He sees his friends barely clinging on, while Suzaku has already gone away to sleep. Arata didn't expect to go this far, so he took a moment to rest and appreciate the fun that he had. Like Guy off-screened everyone with a 50-minute Zero Mike Tyson killing spree.